this past week, I seen this image going around Facebook of what appears to be Emmett on top of Reg, no pause. When I first seen it, I was a little confused because I was like, what is the correlation? And what I mean by that is, what event would bring these two characters together on the show? I don't think I remember Emmett and Reg getting together like that in the first 2 seasons of the show. And I definitely would have never thought Emmett would be the one getting over on Reg like this. If we could assume that this is Emmett and Reg, I've looked into the images, it look about right. Now, I just went back to watch that season 7 trailer, and it definitely is look like that man Emmett done dropped Reg in this scene. Dropped him so bad in the trailer, my son Emmett damn near went flying. Mind you, he's the one tackling Reg to the floor. So what we talking about in this video is, what could Reg have done to make this man Emmett that mad? Like I said, I don't think they've ever had an interaction on screen together. They probably did in the original seasons, I'm tripping. But what could he have done to lead Emmett to wind up his fist like this, bro? Look at the anger on that man's face. He's not playing with nobody. Before I get into this theory I got on why Emmett is moving like this in this scene, y'all already know what y'all gotta do. Like, comment, share, subscribe. Do all those things real quick. Let me explain to y'all why I believe it won't be Emmett that's gonna kill Damien, obviously. No, I believe it's gonna be Reg who does Damien foul later on this season. We about to get into that. First, we gotta talk about what we know about Damien up to this point on the show. We know he was poorly introduced in season 6 by Darnell to Emmett. Came from out the blue, he needed a job, so Darnell asked Emmett if he can get a gig at Smokey's. Emmett agreed. And so he's working at Smokey's, doing Emmett's books, even making sure that a legitimate business is being ran by stepping to Duda, telling him that he gotta find a better way to clean that money because these books is not matching what's actually coming in. If nothing else, I think by the end of season 6, Damien worked his way into being a valid brother figure for Emmett. Not just somebody they just threw into the show to be Emmett's brother. It felt like they actually had vibes going into season 7. And I'll give the Shaw season 7 credit, as I have been doing throughout the season, on not just expanding on the relationships between Emmett, Darnell, and Damien as the seasons progress, but giving us bits and pieces on Damien's character as it goes on as well. We get multiple conversations this season going over Damien's past addiction to gambling. I believe it's part of what got Keith caught up back in the day, and Darnell tells Emmett, look, you gotta watch out for your brother. This gambling shit is for real. I need you to watch over him and make sure that he's straight at all times. Now, obviously, Emmett cannot watch over this man 24/7. He can't be at the spades tournaments when Damien is throwing money away. He can't always be there to hear when Keith is trying to get in his head talking about some take a little bit off the top. To save yourself, pay Emmett back them 3Gs when you have it, as if he was ever gonna have them 3Gs. Realistically, he was gonna keep putting that 3Gs back in over and over and over again to try to double it. And he for damn sure cannot be present for all of Damien's conversations, including the one he had with Reg in this past episode. Now, from the conversation Damien and Reg have in this past episode of the show, we see that Damien will potentially be sending this man Reg some plays in order to double his money by way of FanDuel, DraftKings, whatever app they use on the shop. Now, the next question you might ask if you didn't see the episode, how did he get caught up in this shit? Well, that's because Damien don't know how to shut his mouth to save his life. Hannibal was literally trying to get him up out the crib before he got into this conversation with Reg, and now this is going to be the catalyst that leads to Emmett doing Reg like these. There's no other reason for Darnell to constantly bring up the fact that Damien has this gambling addiction. No reason for Emmett to recognize it himself, and no reason for Keith, Jackie Long's character, to mention it to him before he even goes into Emmett's savings account to get another 3Gs to relieve his debt to Hannibal, unless it comes up in a major way later on in the season. I mean, just look at how much they're overlooking this man's gambling addiction. Nobody's stepping in to do an intervention or nothing. Everybody thinks their words is enough to stop this man Damien, but when you have a real addiction of this magnitude, it's going to take a lot more than words. But sadly, I feel like it's going to be too late before they realize how detrimental this is. Now, I personally think that Damien is going to F Reg's money up in a way where he's not doubling his money. He's probably actually losing more money than he's making. I've seen this one theory going around, though, that Damien could potentially continue running up Emmett's money, and that leads to what's happening in this scene, because he's using Emmett's money to show Reg the legitimacy of this app, making plays, he's not making the money back to pay Emmett back, all that. But if this were the case, wouldn't Emmett be smoking Damien instead? Especially because Emmett allowed Damien to keep his job and fired Keith. So Damien should be the one feeling the smoke if anybody else. And even if this was the case, why would Emmett still have the audacity to run up on Reg if Damien was the one who was using Emmett's money to make these plays? What I think is actually happening here is, like I said, Damien is giving Reg bad plays. He's not doubling his money. He's not happy about it. So he's going to either do one of two things, knowing Reg's crash out self. Either he's going to hurt Damien so bad that he puts his man in the hospital, or he's going to straight up kill him. You know, it's the Shy. Anything is possible. We already know based off episode 6 that Reg always got a piece on him. He's ready for smoke at all times. By that logic, he's ready to smoke anybody at all times. Now, if you've been watching my channel enough, you know that I'm not the biggest fan of Emmett. Quite the opposite. I'm kind of a hater on Emmett for real. Let's just take a second to assess Emmett's character this season so far. He's somebody who, since Duda's death, believes that he and his family are now safe and in the clear of violence in the Shy for the most part. But in that same breath, he still has his own problems he's dealing with. Pressure of acknowledging that, yeah, you're gonna have to marry Keisha, but she don't want to be no 10-year girlfriend. Also knowing one of his baby moms is moving away with one of his kids. Tiff is potentially moving on with either Nuck or Trig. And that's on the lower end of issues that Emmett is dealing with this season because he still doesn't even know his mom's cancer came back. And then he gotta deal with this shit with Damien. On top of me give you 3 racks in episode 6, you gonna steal another 3 racks from me to pay off debts that you didn't even end up paying off? And you got me firing Keith. So now we low on manpower. So at this point in time, Emmett is very frustrated with Damien. As much as I clown Emmett for the lack of his kids appearing on the show, we know Emmett's a family man first. Just look at how Emmett was moving when Ronnie Jr. first came into the picture. Before we knew Nuck was his father, Emmett was essentially this boy's father. Just look at how bro was moving in that second half of season 6 when his family's life was on the line. My son was stepping to gangsters in the mob. The leader of the mob, Duda, pulled a gun on him like 2 times, shot at the man. When Emmett's family is threatened, this man steps up and is willing to do whatever it takes to defend them. That's one thing we can't take away from him. So imagine if Reg were to put Damien in the hospital. Or worse, God forbid, put that man 6 feet under. I think that alone would be enough reason for Emmett to get to this point in this scene. Like I said, I do think it's Damien's interaction with Reg is going to be the catalyst for this. Hopefully Damien doesn't die though, because Lord knows Emmett is going through enough this season as is. Hopefully the character is able to bounce back from his addiction. Hopefully after all this, they take it serious and they get this man the help that he desperately needs. Y'all let me know in the comments, what do you think is happening in this scene? If you do think it's Emmett doing Reg foul in this scene, what do you think led to it? Leave all your thoughts in the comments. What do you think of season 7 of the show so far? I've been your host, Jay, so I hope you've been entertained, and we go talk soon. Peace, y'all.